Okay, here's the next dry rot problem. I have this post right here. It's a 6 by 6 inch post holding up this sort of outcrop coming out of the house. Okay, and at the base here I got significant dry rot. Okay, so I'm going to just probably replace a fractional part of the beam, not the whole beam. And depends on the amount of damage, so I'd have to cut that out and replace it. So again, our dry rot extends all the way in there a couple inches. So we gotta cut the portion of this beam out, or this post out, and we'll basically replace it. Standard technique, we're going to get a hydraulic jack, and we're going to raise up the roof here just a fraction of an inch to relieve all the pressure over here, and then we'll go cut in and look at the damage. Once we assess the damage, we'll determine whether we replace the whole post or just patch up partial of the post. Okay, I got my two temporary braces in place. They're constructed with two 2x4s screwed together, plus an additional 2x3, which I attached directly. So I got the post, or the beam right here. Again, I'm not replacing that. Two 2x4s, outside 2x3 screwed into here. Okay, those shouldn't go anywhere. Okay, next stop, we're gonna figure out how much damage we have down here in this dry rot on this post. That's a problem we're trying to solve. So I will have to cut into this, but I got these two temporary posts in place, so that should handle all the load, even if I cut all the way through this this post right here. Okay, as you can see, I had significant dry rot here. And basically I go all the way through to the other side. So what I'm going to do, I have two options. Number one, I could just cut here and put in a little block underneath here to support it, just replace this bottom section. A little tough cut here because I got this metal bracket in the way. So I could just cut there, probably get a pretty good cut. That's option number one. Option number two is to make a half lap joint. That's basically those L-looking joints, but then I have to go up, at least probably overlap at least 1.5 feet on the lap joint, so that's pretty major. I'm going to first try just cutting this out, putting in a small block of wood, tie it on the back side with some sort of Simpson plate. You won't see the plate, metal plate, and then that way that'll hold all that together. Okay, here's my initial approach. I put these two metal brackets, one on each side, and that'll be my guide for my Sawzall when I basically cut up and over, because I need a pretty good cut. So again, I just got a bracket here and a bracket there, and that way I can cut the saw up to the lower part of the bracket. Of course, this Sawzall blade will go through the metal if I'm not careful, but that way I have a nice guide going across. I was thinking of routing it, but again, this is 5.5 inches, 6 inches, and the problem is, you need a pretty deep router bit. The router bit, if it would touch the metal, say goodbye to the router bit. Sawzall is much more forgiving. So this is my technique. Let's see how it comes out. Again, we just want to remove this bottom about 4.5 inches of wood here. Okay, I did use my Sawzall and cut out most of the wood that had any dry rot, so now I'm down to pretty much clean wood. There's a little bit more to go. It's hard getting a straight line though with the Sawzall. So I think what I'm going to do, I am going to hook up my router, at least get it partially straight, then cut on through. Need a little straighter line. So when I fit in the blocking portion of the post, that's the portion that's going to go right here, I just have a nice clean line. Then I'm going to, okay, let's go clean this up a little bit. Okay, I was using my Sawzall to cut this out. Really can't get a great clean cut. So I did decide to use the router. I set up these guides right here for the router. And then I could sweep the router across and get a pretty clean cut on the wood. Pretty much got all the dry rot out. And now we just need to, after I routed it, I used a Sawzall just to remove some of the center section wood underneath there. It's got a pretty clean cut going. And anyway, router worked pretty good. But the router blade touches the metal though. That's the end of that router bit. But I really didn't touch the metal. So everything went okay. Okay, we'll clean this up and get a piece of wood in there next. Oh, we're all painted up. Put some Rust-Oleum on the metal bracket. This is my piece of wood. I got to primer it up, paint it up, and then all we do is slide the piece of wood in and bolt it in, and we'll be more or less done. Okay, project's pretty much complete. Got the block of wood in there. Everything went pretty smooth, no problems. Measured it out, cut it up. It's always a little tough cutting larger wood. So again, we had dry rot down here. Remove the wood from here on down about 4.5 inches. Basically use the router to get a nice clean edge, and then my reciprocating saw to clean up everything. Painted it, inserted it, and that's it. Use these 2 temporary supporting beams, columns, to hold up the outcrop. I'll basically I can take those down anytime now. Everything's back to normal. And we'll just paint this up and call it a day. So cost, real nominal because I had the wood, just basically time. And that's about it. Okay, that's it. Removing dry rot from the base of a post. Okay, the repair of the post is complete. Again, I removed the dry rotted section, just the lower 4 inches. Put in a new piece of wood. Add some little putty, sanded. Now I'm primering it, and looks good as new. Totally looks great. Okay, that's it for this project.